Welcome back to Sports Kathi. I am Vaishakh here, and with me is Rohit.
Hi everyone.
Today, we'll be talking about what is happening in the tennis world. Just 3 months ago, COVID spread across Europe and America, which is the nerve center of the tennis world. The tournaments started getting cancelled one after the other. They were postponing French Open shift dates from May to September, and clearly one of the most important tournaments for me over the year as a Rafa Nadal fan. Wimbledon was cancelled for the first time since World War II, just to put the context into clarity. And even the Rogers Cup, got postponed, got cancelled, if I'm right, in August. It did look like we will have, the whole year called off due to tennis, but then there was some light. There was some positive news coming up with US Open deciding their schedule and a few other events following up. So before we go much more into detail about the schedule, Rohit, could you give an insight about how this break will affect the people?
Okay, firstly, I will start off with how the rankings will be affected. The Tennis Association has actually come out and spoken about it. When I say Tennis Association, I mean ATP and WTA. So what they've announced is that until June, the rankings are frozen. So that means all the tournaments were supposed to happen till June. The rankings will not be dropped or will not be affected. So there are few who are actually benefited from this. For example, Roger Federer. Roger Federer was always going to be off until June after undergoing knee surgery in February. So if he had skipped the tournaments, he would have dropped, like, say, from his current rankings of fourth to possibly even out of the top 10. Similarly, Bianca Andreescu, who had already withdrawn from Indian Wells and who was defending champion there. She had withdrawn due to left knee injury. So now she will not want to have to defend her points. So for her, it's in some way positive. But it's not the case for everyone. In the ATP section, as you know, it's very keenly contested for now. At the beginning of the year, Djokovic has taken a lead of mere 370 points, which is a very small lead. But the good thing was for Djokovic was that this area, this clay court section, is somewhere where Nadal has a lot of points to defend. So that is where somewhere where Djokovic could have extended his lead. Now that it's being frozen, it's difficult for him. Like, to put exact numbers, Djokovic had to defend only 2,635 points, whereas Nadal had to defend 4,260 points. And given the form Djokovic has been in the beginning of the year, I could see Djokovic, extending the gap from 370 points to much higher. So he would be disappointed. But whereas the WTA world number one, Ashley Barty, would be the other way around. She has a lot of points to defend during this area. That is, out of her 8,717 points, 3,440 is in this section. Now she doesn't need to defend those. Is actually positive for her, and which for Halep, who is in the second rank, might not be that positive because there's a 2,500 point gap between the first and second. So now Halep would have been looking forward to cut off that gap here in this area, but things are not in her favor for now. So when I say freezing the ranking, yes, it has negatives and positives. But again, in general, a break is not good for tennis. It's not good for tennis players for obvious reasons. As you have seen in football, coming back from a break results in not having regular matchups, regular warm-ups, and that means injuries. And many players might come into the Grand Slams directly. That means the performance levels also might be lower in the Grand Slam events. So from a viewer point of view, yes, we did not have matches, which is not great. And even when the tournament restarts, it might not be, at the highest level. So from a viewing point of view also, it's not at the best level.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So the players coming back from injury, in normal situations, they get to play some ATP 500 or ATP thousands to get back into the Grand Slams. So is there any plan, the way the players can play something to come back and play in the Grand Slams?
Now, coming to the restart, yes, US Open will be scheduled or will be going as per schedule. So it will happen between August 24th and September 3rd or 13th, yes, I believe. Yeah, so it'll be going as per schedule. And the good thing is Cincinnati Masters, which is generally what leads up to the US Open, even that will be happening. So that is good. So we will have some warm-up game before the US Open. So there is something there. Similarly, Roland Garros, as you mentioned, as of today, the dates given are 20th September to October 4th. Again, just like US Open, the warm-up events, or what they call the warm-up events, again, they are the Masters 1000 series. But again, those are Madrid and Rome Masters. And those will also be happening a week before the French Open. So there is some tennis which will happen before the Grand Slams. We might not run directly into Grand Slams, but then how many players will be participating in those warm-up events or in those Masters 1000 events will be something which we will have to see. In the ATP side, we are not very clear. As I looked into it, we don't have any clarity on what the schedule will be post ATP. But in the WTA side, they've actually gone on to put the entire schedule for the year. They have gone on to put the schedule till November this year. That is including the China leg. Let's see how feasible it is. But as of today, the schedule is there. Putting the schedule up is the easier part. But to organize these events will be the bigger challenge. So US Open have come out and told how they are planning to do it. So they have come and told that the tournament will be played in a biosecure bubble. Now, what does that mean? It means involving no supporters, restricted movements of players and officials, strict distancing norms, rigorous coronavirus testing, blah, etc., etc. So this is what the biosecure bubble is. And we know why it's required, because we saw what happened in the Adria Tour exhibition. We saw that players such as Djokovic and Dimitrov competed, and there were fans to watch the tournament, and there was even an after party. And eventually, and unfortunately, players were tested positive, including Novak Djokovic. Djokovic also has been vocal, saying that he's not in favor of the US Open requirements and how strict they are. But I believe after what has happened to him and others during the Adria Tour exhibition event, I believe he might change his mind. But then again, the cases in US, started peaking again. So maybe not everything is positive, and maybe there might be further delays. But anyway, something which I personally think has higher probability of happening is the French Open. I'm saying that because most of the players are Europeans, so the travel constraints might be lesser for the French Open, and the cases in Europe or in France is comparatively coming down. But then again, French Open has not come out and told what their protocols are. Personally, I do not expect them to have fans to come and view. Let's wait for them to come out and announce what the protocols is.
Well, I wouldn't certainly believe that the France would have anything less lenient than the US measures as far as the sports are concerned. It's also different in the football world as well, because we saw Ligue 1 being cancelled in France. But in tennis, the players will have to travel way more frequently, and also individually across different countries to play tournaments. But it should make sense to prioritize the big tournaments as well, as you say, mainly the Grand Slams, and look into how it can be organized. I do understand why the US Open has come with such a protocol, as we do not really want a repeat of what happened in the Adria Tour at the Belkins. Djokovic and the tennis star who support him should understand the reality that having spectators is a stretch. And more important than spectators is it to have some action going on. So this is possibly the last few years of the peak of the big three we're talking about. We were talking it for almost a decade now. And definitely we want to see them play, even if it is without crowd, right?
I completely agree with you there. And I'm waiting to, see the players back in action, and especially Djokovic. And you rightly mentioned they are still at their peak. It's a long peak, but they're still at their peak. I really want to say, I'm a big fan of Novak Djokovic. He is my favorite player. But what happened was totally unacceptable. And given he is the president of the ATP Player Council, he should have acted more responsibly. He should be the role model where other players can look up to. And I feel he was not the right example. I hope things will change now, and he will be more cautious, and he will, as a tennis world, everyone will be more cautious moving forward. Anyways, as you mentioned, I'm hoping we get to see the players back in action as soon as possible, but in a safe environment. And I want to say, as a Djokovic fan, this coming out, I believe Djokovic has a good couple more years at the top. And if he can stay fit, he can overhaul the 20 Grand Slam record, which Federer has been holding on to. And another record which I believe should be more of a formality for Djokovic is the number of weeks at number one. Federer currently holds a record at 310 weeks at the top. Djokovic is third at 282 weeks behind Pete Sampras. I'm very confident that Djokovic can overhaul the number one rank for sure. And the Grand Slam record, I'm hoping that if he can have a quick restart, he doesn't lose many of the years now, and that he can overhaul the 20 Grand Slam record.
Well, I hope you do remember that if French Open predates the US Open, and if Nadal takes it, then it would be 13th Roland Garros for Rafa, and he will also join 20 Grand Slams club. So that is another big thing that I am waiting for as well. So as Djokovic plans to chase records, that could be one of the records that Rafa is chasing as well. So all three the stars are really chasing records, and we are really all fans, tennis fans, are really anxious to see them back in action. But it is high time that history is rewritten as well. As a tennis fan, I just feel to say that no one born after 1988 has ever won a Grand Slam, and I'm a bit desperate to see one of these youngsters who are looking like the big talent somehow hope that they take their game to the next level.
That's good to hear, as a coming from a Nadal fan, because one player I'm really expecting to was expecting to win the French Open this year was Dominic Thiem, and he is the biggest challenge for Nadal. Yes, you are confident of Nadal winning the 13th Slam. Okay, that's all from us today. So we request our viewers to give your inputs in the comment section on when you think the tennis tournament should restart, who among the big three will end up with more Grand Slam, or who will be the first player of this generation to win a Grand Slam. If you liked our content, please don't forget to like and share the video with your friends. And if you like to receive notifications on similar content, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay safe.